Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Viṣṇu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Yodavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Ashtatari Shatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Ashtatari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Radha Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe. Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe. Jaya Radha Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe. Radha Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Haladeva Mai Subhadra. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Haladeva Mai Subhadra. Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Bala Gopal Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Bala Gopal Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitansha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Vasindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Viṣṇu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So, what did we discuss last week? Third chapter. Okay. Let's start. Fifth verse. I think we discussed 4th, 5th, and 6th verses, right? 4, 5, 6?
Yes.
And what were the topics we discussed?
We cannot be idle. We have to be active.
So, the nature of the soul is to be active. Right? So the idle process, the inactive process of achieving perfection is not recommended. Krishna has not yet given his recommendation. He is giving it in the 7th verse. Right? Arjuna asked, opened the chapter with a question that is this keeping these ghastly warfare and abominable activities far away, does that mean he should pursue inactive paths? And Krishna said that there's 2 paths to self-realization, the inactive and active path. And which is better?
Active.
Because the soul is active. There were some other reasons we discussed why active is better. Anyone remember?
It's sweet and sublime.
It's sweet and sublime. the process of activity, specifically of bhakti, it is sweet. It is not a dry or arduous process. Sometimes to obtain some goal, we have to go through some difficulty. Right? We have to study long exams, late nights to get that degree. There's some austerity required. But in the active process of purification, the process itself is sweet, which is very nice. Any other reasons you remember why the active path is being recommended?
The two-in-one process.
It's a two-in-one process. What does that mean?
It's both purifying and bhakti, like it takes to Krishna.
Yeah. So the active process of working detached from the fruits, it is ultimately the end goal, bhakti, and it is the process that purifies. So there's no separate purifying process that's required. And what are we trying to purify of?
Material desires.
Our material desires. Because our material desires pull us away from the spiritual life, which will give us the perfection of life. So everything we're speaking about here is about how to purify. Purify of the material desires. So Krishna said, just abstaining from work is not going to necessarily work. And why? He said, don't be a mukta-saṅgaḥ, pretender. What happens if we try to renounce prematurely?
The desires still continue to be there and they cause more distress and more karma eventually. And we can't, even not sitting idle is doing some karma.
We eventually come back.
Yeah. Those desires, if we have not yet purified of them, they burn very strong and eventually will fall back. Because the inactive path, it doesn't purify. Understand? We're not purifying through inactivity. So Krishna is saying purify through activity, intelligent activity. And thus we'll be assured that those material desires will not in the future pull us back. And that process of purifying is also sweet. Engaging in Krishna consciousness is sweet. And there's one more reason that Krishna is recommending this path, and Prabhupada comments on.
It's easy.
It's easy, yeah, and sublime we can say sweet. We can say it's easy. It's foolproof. But we get help. Whose help do we get?
Krishna.
Krishna personally helps us in this process. And the inactive process, we're on our own. We have to handle ourselves. So, for these reasons, Krishna said, he's going to say now, the active path is the recommended path of purification for perfection of realizing the self. Right? That is the goal of everything, to realize the self. Right? So, Krishna warned in the 6th verse, don't be a pretender. Because just making a false show of renunciation, oh, I am so renounced, but if I have not purified, it is nothing but an act, a drama. And that drama will not last. Because those desires will pull us back into all kinds of nonsensical activities. So better that one pursue the process of Krishna consciousness and pursue. So now Krishna is going to say in the 7th verse, or says, on the other hand, meaning on the other hand, in the 6th verse, he said if one makes a false show of renunciation, he's called a pretender. But on the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. So Arjuna in the 2nd verse asks, Krishna, you tell me unequivocally what is best for me. Don't give me anything ambiguous. And so has Krishna given a clear answer or an ambiguous answer? He says, by far superior. Not that they're pretty much the same, depending on which one you like. Is that what he said? He said, by far. Right? So controlling the active senses. Anybody's senses are active? All active, right? So how to control them? What is Krishna saying? By karma yoga. Krishna consciousness. Right? So, then in the 8th verse he says, he further adds clarity to his statement. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. So he gives further clarity to his recommendation. And what is the recommendation?
Even for at least performing bodily activity, to keep it alive, we need to work.
Yeah.
At least for that. Nothing else.
We have to work. At least we have to work. Right?
Do your duty.
So is it possible really to be inactive? No. Even at the extreme levels, this inactivity is very difficult. So remember, we talked at the end last week that the Vaishnava sannyasis, they are renounced. They are not renouncing activity. What are they renouncing?
Material activities.
Yes. They do not renounce the material world. They renounce the material world in utilization of satisfying one's senses. They utilize the whole material world in the satisfaction of Krishna. And we gave the example of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was utilizing vehicles, sometimes very fancy jackets and hats, whatever it took, to propagate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Whatever it took. So he was not renouncing, saying, no, I won't sit in a vehicle that is not for a sannyasi. Because if that vehicle allowed him to give 2 extra lectures during the day and bestow compassion about more fallen souls, then he would utilize. Not for his own comforts, but for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Right? So this is the renunciation. So now Krishna has said to work. Is it clear? Any ambiguity?
No.
He's saying, do your duty. Work. Right? But now the question comes, how to work? Right? How to work. He has said karma yoga, but he hasn't explained what that means. So now, 9th verse. Work done as a sacrifice for Viṣṇu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kuntī, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. So Krishna is saying, work, but work in a specific way. Don't just work productively. Right? Don't just run around like a chicken with his head cut off, just running around. But work intelligently, using buddhi. This buddhi yoga. Okay? So, someone wants to read the purport?
Since one has to work even for the simple maintenance of the body, the prescribed duties for a particular social position and quality are so made that that purpose can be fulfilled. Yajna means Lord Viṣṇu or sacrificial performances. All sacrificial performances also are meant for the satisfaction of Lord Viṣṇu. The Vedas enjoin yajño vai Viṣṇuha. In other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs a prescribed yajnas or directly served Lord Viṣṇu. Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yajna as it's prescribed in this verse. Therefore, one has to work for the satisfaction of Viṣṇu Any other work done in this material world will cause of bondage. For both good and evil work have their reactions, and any reactions binds the performer. Therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Viṣṇu, and while performing such activities, one is in liberated stage. This is the great art of doing work, and in the beginning this process requires very expert guidance. One should therefore act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, or under the direct instruction of Lord Krishna himself, under whom the Arjuna had the opportunity to work. Nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. This practice will not only save one from the reaction of work, but also gradually elevate one to transcendental loving service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God.
Okay. So Krishna is saying, work done as a sacrifice for Viṣṇu has to be performed. Otherwise, work will cause bondage in this material world. Okay? So, when we do work, we have two choices. What are our two choices?
For the senses or for the pleasure?
Work for the fruits, or keep the fruits or renounce the fruits. Right? Now, anybody is so ready and willing to give up the fruits of their work? It's easy. Why is it not so easy to give up the fruits of our work?
Yeah, attached maybe.
We're attached. We want them.
Because we think we are
False ego.
False ego, which leads us to think
the
we are the doer. Why I would give up something that I did? Who is Viṣṇu Krishna to say you give? I did the work, and now you want me to give to you? That doesn't make sense. So Krishna is going to speak this ego-shattering verse coming up later in this chapter. Prakute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. Due to ahankara, I think I am the karta. I am the doer. But actually, Krishna says, we do nothing. It is the modes of nature that is the doer. We are like puppets. The puppets in the puppet show, they have no independent ability to move. Only when the strings are pulled by the puppeteer can the puppets move. Krishna is saying, we are puppets. I cannot even move our hand without the material nature pulling the strings to pull our hand. I don't see the string, so I think, no, I am the doer. But that is false ego. Right? So Krishna is going to be speaking about that later in this chapter. But here, the important topic, and it's a topic of the whole chapter, is what kind of work will purify us? Detached work. Detached from the work? The results. Sometimes when we say detached from the results, we also detach from the work. Well, if I don't get the results, then I'm not going to do the work. So Krishna is saying, do the work, but detach from the results. Right? So, now let's answer this and analyze this. For whose benefit is this for? Who benefits when one works detached? Krishna or us? It sounds initially like Krishna, right? We work, he gets the fruits. He is saying, work done as a sacrifice for Viṣṇu has to be performed. Well, that's a nice formula. We do all the labor, and Krishna gets to enjoy the fruits. So our false ego leads us to think this way. right? But let's remember, what does Krishna, who is creating unlimited millions and millions of universes. Now think, to create millions of universes, you have to have resources, supplies, right? What it takes for us to create one vehicle or one house. So Krishna is creating all of these universes. And how he's creating? By hammering and constructing heavily in the factory? It's just lying on Anantashesh. And he's creating. So to be able to create such grandeur, not just this planet, millions of planets, full of minerals and jewels and all this facility. So what his storehouse of supply must be like? His raw material stock, substantial or small? Infinite, unlimited, right? So, now, how does our fruits compare to his stock? Whatever we may generate through our work, how it compares to his stock? Is it significant? Will it move the dial, if you will? It's like if you go to some billionaire, Bill Gates, and you say, I'm feeling very kind and generous to you. I'm going to give you 1 penny. Will it even register to him? Will it register? No. Does that charity help Bill Gates? Not really. So whatever fruits we are giving to Krishna, remember, he doesn't need them. He has unlimited supply of everything. How else he could create? So he is not saying give the fruits so that he can benefit. He can increase his stock. We cannot even move the dial of his stock. He is unlimited. He's Atmarama, fully self-satisfied. So who benefits in this equation? Krishna or us? Us. We benefit. Why do we benefit? What is the consequence of not performing yajna? Not renouncing the fruits. What is the consequence?
Bondage.
What does bondage mean?
Attachment towards the fruit.
Okay, so attachment to fruits means?
Leading to misery.
Okay, it leads to miseries. But let's build it step by step. If I attach to the fruits, what happens? We get a reaction. Okay, that sounds good. I get a reaction. I do some good deeds. I get some benefit, some wealth, some fame, some beauty. Sounds good. No? What's the reaction lead to?
More action.
We get the body too.
More lust, more action, and more?
Get the body.
Get the body. Wait a minute. No, I already have the body. I already have the body, so why not get all the reactions for this body? What's wrong with that?
We get some next life.
Oh.
Not the body.
So, Mataji is saying that we cannot use all the reactions in this life. Meaning we're creating so many reactions that some will have to come in the future. So to get them in the future, what happened? What means? I have to take another body. Right? If at the end of this life I have any credits in my account, only I have to come back and take them. Okay, so I'll come back one more time and I'll receive those credits. What's wrong with that?
You'll do more action and get more reaction.
In that next body, I'll keep doing more work. And I'll create new reactions. And by the end, I still won't finish, and then I have to... And when does this cycle end?
Never.
Never. So thus, it is bondage. What is bondage? It ties us to this material world. We remain in this cycle of birth, death, old age, disease. Birth, death, old age, disease. Birth, death, old age, and that continues infinitum. Because everything I'm doing, I'm creating reactions if I don't offer as a sacrifice. Right? So, okay, I'll just do good activities and I'll get a good birth, and what's wrong with that?
Still it doesn't awakens the relationship with Krishna, and the eternal happiness would still be missing.
The eternal happiness is still missing. Anybody has found 100% happiness in this life, in this body? Even 50%? This body and this existence is one of dukhalayam and shashvatam. That is the nature of this world. Right? We get some happiness and then it goes away. We get some and it goes away. And we're suffering through old age and disease, the fear of death, difficulties of the mind and body, of the different natural disasters. We see how much difficulty this snow is creating. Right? So this is what we bind ourselves to. Constant struggle for existence. How hard we have to work just to enjoy. Krishna is working hard. Does he have a 5-day work week? He has a 0-day work week. It's just enjoying. We are his part and parcel. It means we must have that same nature. If we are his part and parcel, if I'm the son of a king, then I also have royal facilities. Even though I'm not the king, I have the same royal facilities. I get to eat the same royal foods, right? If I'm the son of God, then I should have the same experiences. And are we currently experiencing the facilities of the Lord? No. So this work not done as a sacrifice causes bondage. So who benefits when we sacrifice our fruits to Krishna? Us. There's no scope for us to benefit him materially. But actually, Krishna, does he appreciate the fruits we give him? Even though we cannot move the dial, we cannot influence his stock, does he appreciate?
If we offer him with love.
If we offer to him with love. What we are offering our fruits are not the fruits. It is the love that accompanies the fruits. That's what Krishna is appreciating, what he enjoys. It is the love. Begrudgingly giving, it's still better than not. But what he really appreciates is the love. Just like when our children, they make us something. They go to school and they make us one card. Does it really influence our life? Does it enhance our experience in life? Does that card or some artwork or some box or something they make, does it really change our life? No. But do we appreciate it? So much so that we hang it on the wall, we put it somewhere, and we see it. Why? Because we appreciate the love that went into that activity. That is Krishna. He appreciates the love that goes into the offering of the fruits. But don't think that we are doing something grand and we are facilitating the Lord. We cannot move his stock. But he still appreciates and loves it. Right? So, this work done, it has to be done as a sacrifice for it to be beneficial. Otherwise, just working, will it help us? If we remain attached to the fruits, will we purify? If I get $1 million, will that purify me of my desire for wealth?
Probably create more.
Probably?
Create more.
Will it probably create more, or it'll absolutely create more?
Absolutely great.
We have personal experience, maybe not of $1 million, but of something we got, and then we wanted more.
Yeah.
How many of us, our first car we bought was a used clunker? And then,
What do you say? Clunker.
old beat up car. And then we want,
This is better, bro.
we're happy with it?
Oh.
We want a better one, and a better one. We want a bigger house, bigger this, more this, right? It's not satisfied. So, this working attached to the fruits will not purify us of these desires. And without purification of these desires, we cannot come to Krishna consciousness, which brings about the perfection of life. Right? So, at the end of the purport, Prabhupada says that this renunciation of fruits, it has some benefits. What's the first benefit? We discussed it just now. No more karma. No more reactions. So doing work as a sacrifice, it frees us from reactions. But there's an even higher benefit. And what's the higher benefit?
Free of bondage.
Love.
Free of bondage, that will
Pleasing,
happiness,
pleasing Krishna.
pleasing Krishna. But what's the higher benefit for us? It's related to pleasing Krishna. Huh?
Self-realized.
Okay, self-realization, what does that mean?
Soul will connect to super soul.
Soul will connect to super soul.
The actual bhakti comes.
Actual bhakti will come. And what is the benefit of bhakti?
Eternal happiness.
That is the perfection of life. Awakening our love of Krishna is the perfection of life. We may not have yet established that in our heart and mind as the perfection of life, but it is the perfection of life. We saw throughout the second chapter, Krishna said, one can find peace only in bhakti. One can only find happiness in bhakti. Nowhere else. We have searched everywhere else for it. It doesn't exist. So by practicing karma yoga, Krishna consciousness, detaching from the fruits, it not only creates no more future reactions, but it also begins to bring about, as Prabhupada says, gradually elevate one to transcendental loving service of the Lord. What does transcendental mean? It means high, elevating. Elevating what? Meaning the highest activity. The greatest activity we can do is loving service to the Lord. Because when one performs loving devotional service to the Lord, one becomes fully satisfied. And then Prabhupada goes one step further. What is the final benefit of performing work as a sacrifice?
Makes one to the kingdom of God.
Which can also raise one to the kingdom of God. And the benefit of going to Goloka Vrindavan is the opportunity to perform unlimited service to the Lord. Because remember, it is service to the Lord that will give us the highest happiness and pleasure. Right now we are limited in how much we can serve. Limited by needing to take rest, getting tired, limited resources, facilities, so many limits, snow. But in the spiritual world, unlimited ability to serve, which means unlimited rasa, relationship experience with the Lord. So this work done as a sacrifice, it doesn't create bondage, no more bodies, no more birth, death, old age, disease, adi bhautika, adi daivika, adi atmaka. It begins to bring about this bhakti in the heart, and it culminates in going back home to Godhead. So who benefits from doing work as a sacrifice? Now Krishna says here, work done as a sacrifice for Viṣṇu has to be performed. It's not really optional. Okay? So how do we learn how to do work as a sacrifice? Do we know? Anyone know? How do we know whether our work will please Krishna or not?
That was another question I had.
That was a question you had. Good. So how do we know? How do we know what sacrifice to do? What is yajña? That is the answer, but how did we come to know? From Guru. So Prabhupada says that this great art of doing work, and in the beginning this process requires very expert guidance. One should therefore act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, or under the direct instruction of Lord Krishna himself. So we cannot just think, oh, this must be a sacrifice. This is good. I'm doing sacrifice. I'm using my fruits of my work and I'm burning it in a fire. That is sacrifice. I take my paycheck and put it in a trash can. I've renounced the fruits. I have, done this charitable activity or this activity. That we have to work under guidance. And who can guide us? And why Guru can guide us?
He follows a disciplic.
He follows a disciplic succession. And Krishna is going to say in the next chapter, because they have known, they have realized, they know. So one who knows how to cure my disease can then guide me in how to cure it. But one who doesn't know can simply speculate. If I go to any other person and say, can you cure my disease? They can speculate. But who can cure my disease? A doctor. Why a doctor can cure? Because they have experience. They have done it. They have learned it. They have studied it. So who is the doctor for us in understanding how to do this work? It is Guru. So we must take the expert guidance. One should act diligently under the guidance of Guru. And then one can understand what will please Krishna, what will not. So in the beginning of this chapter, or purport, Prabhupada makes an important point about yajña. So what is yajña for us? Yajña has to be performed? So what is yajña?
Yes, sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice. So is yajña throwing grains into the fire? Yes, it's yajña, right?
Consciousness.
It's yajña. Is that all, or are there other forms of yajña?
Giving away our material desires.
Giving our material desires sacrifice, that's yajña. What does Prabhupada say, quoting this verse, Yajño vai Viṣṇu? The next sentence, what's the point Prabhupada is making?
Yajña means Viṣṇu.
Yajña means Viṣṇu. Yajña means to please Viṣṇu or Krishna. Right? So what activities are considered yajña?
Anything that pleases Krishna.
Anything that pleases Krishna. Yajña is not just or exclusively sitting around a fire offering grains. That is yajña. But also in that performance, what should be in our heart?
To please Krishna.
But how many times we are doing yajña to please Krishna? More often we are doing yajna in this fire to get something. But actually we are offering grains into the mouth of Krishna through the fire. Which is why we don't throw grains with the index finger. We throw grains like this. And we don't throw. Do you throw food into your mouth? You offer.
No.
If a grain falls on the ground, well, you'll eat yourself.
Oh.
So we keep the grains nice and we offer nicely. We don't throw. Because we are offering directly grains into the mouth of Viṣṇu. The fire is the mouth of Viṣṇu. So that's a yajna. But our consciousness has to be such. So Prabhupada is saying here that, in other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yajnas, these are these different yajnas we traditionally know of, or directly serves Lord Viṣṇu. Directly serves Lord, because the goal of yajna is to please Krishna. Will service to Krishna please Krishna? If done under guidance. Right? So what kind of yajnas can we do daily? Can we do yajnas daily?
Yes.
What kind of yajnas can we do? Chanting. Chanting is the Yuga Dharma. It is the yajna of this Kali Yuga. Sankirtana Yajna. 11th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. We see that in this age, it is actually the only yajna we are actually capable of performing. All other yajnas can be performed, but back in Treta Yuga, that type of yajna can be performed. But the potent yajna we can actually perform in this age is Sankirtana Yajna. What are other types of yajna we can perform? Offering bhoga. Offering some fruits, some vegetables, some rice, some preparations to Krishna. That is yajna. That is sacrifice. Not into the fire, but to the deity. Not raw foods, cooked foods. That is yajna. Krishna is going to say in 4 verses, what happens if we don't offer foods? Brace yourself when he tells us that one. What other types of yajna can we do?
Social service.
Huh?
Doing the social service.
Doing the social service? What is the best social service we can do?
Eating prasadam.
No, helping the people.
Helping the people. So, what does helping the people mean? Helping what?
Any orphanage, donation, something.
Okay. So, the ultimate help we can give to people is to help the person, right? Right? So who is the person? Soul. The person is the soul, not the body. Right? So what is the greatest social service we can do?
The soul.
Help the soul. Right? So any social service, if it's a true social service, it must help the soul.
Absolutely.
Right? So we must approach our service to humanity to save the soul. Prabhupada opens up the 2nd chapter in the purport. He says, we must know where to direct our compassion. We must be compassionate to all, not just ourselves, but to everyone. But what we see as social services today, unfortunately, is the equivalent of when someone is drowning in the ocean and we are in a boat, that we are pulling their clothes into the boat but leaving the person in the water. Is that a social service? No. When we go to serve the body but ignore the soul, have we really helped that person? No. So our social service to the orphanages, to the senior society, to those who are hungry, those who are lacking shelter, lacking clothing, lacking foods, we must serve the soul. Because when you serve the soul, the body is also going to benefit. It is not your... If you pull the person in, do the clothes come with it? Yes. So by saving the soul, we'll also bring along the body. So social services is yajña when it goes to saving the soul. And why is it yajña? Meaning, yajña must... What is the criteria for it to be considered yajña? Must please Krishna. That's it. Yajña must please Krishna. Then it is yajña. Krishna is going to speak in the next 3 verses about other yajñas, what we call karma-kanda yajñas, where the goal is to please the self. But ultimate yajña is, because bhoktaram yajña tapasam. Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of all yajña. So yajña must please Krishna. So how does social services aimed at benefiting the soul please Krishna? How does that please Krishna? Does it please Krishna?
In the mood of what you're doing.
But how would Krishna be pleased if we go and we help the spirit souls of those who are in difficulty? How would Krishna be pleased?
If we can bring back.
We are bringing back the souls.
And why will that please Krishna?
Because we are the servant.
The instrument, I think.
Because Krishna is?
Waiting for all of us to come back.
Krishna is in severe separation from every single living entity. He is pained by this separation. By us having chosen to ignore him. We are his children. What mother and father does not miss their child when their child has run away? And if someone brings that lost child to parent, how happy that parent becomes. Is there any measure to that happiness? No. So if we, through our social services, are able to bring that soul back to Krishna, how happy Krishna will be. You cannot even measure it. So happy. So, it is not enough just to bring ourselves back. Our mission, Srila Prabhupada's mission, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, he traveled all through India. Why? He could have just been in ecstasy in Jagannath Puri. Why he traveled? Out of compassion, to save all the fallen souls. So our social service, when it's directed at the soul in connecting back to Krishna, is so pleasing. It is yajña because it pleases Krishna. So,
Question, bro.
yeah, one second. So chanting is yajña, offering bhoga is yajña, doing service in connecting souls back to Krishna, that is yajña. Yes, question?
So there are various stages of bringing back the souls to Krishna, right? One is, as you mentioned, Prabhupada or the other pure devotees. For them it is easy. But whereas for us, I think as he said, probably we need to go maybe giving prasad or that way only I think we can connect them to Krishna. Otherwise if you say we wanted to nourish your soul, people may not understand.
Yeah. So the application of how to do this yajña, some may not be ready to come and hear Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Right? So how we can do, for Prabhupada, you said it was easy for him to, because he's a pure devotee, to connect, to penetrate into the consciousness and inspire them to take to the prasad, right? Because he's a pure devotee. So his ability to inspire. Just like if I'm a big fire, then I can heat up many things. If I'm a small candle, how much heat I can give? Not so much. Prabhupada was a blazing fire of mercy. And he was able to burn through all of our impurities. And he's still burning through our impurities through his books. So what we can do, being insignificant, tiny sparks with no potency, what we can do? We can simply bring this fire to them. Bring Prabhupada's message, which is where Prabhupada's potency came from. His spiritual master. Where his spiritual master's potency came from. His spiritual master. And where's the ultimate source of all potency? Krishna. If we try to independently on our own, we are useless. But if we simply become the servant of the servant of the servant, the das and udas and udas of these great persons, then yes, we can be extremely effective in piercing the heart. But it is not on our potency. We have no potency. None. Zero. Zilch. But if we rely on the potency of our previous acharyas, they can. So you have great ability. You can read, and you can read to them. Yes, prasadam is also a very wonderful introductory way. That's what Prabhupada's mission was. When people weren't ready to yet take philosophy, he offered prasadam. Then kirtan, music. Then philosophy came. Right? But don't think that I'm unqualified to spread this message. Because if you think you're unqualified, that's ego. That's ego. Why it's ego? Because it means that someday you might be qualified. No, we're never qualified. All we can do is pass along the message. We're just the carrier, passing the message of our previous acharyas. They are bringing the qualification. Prabhupada has given everything in his books. All we have to do is repeat word for word. Don't add any of our own masala to it. Just repeat word for word. Then the potency will be very strong. So, don't think you're unqualified to do social services to the soul. Everyone has qualification. If they know where that potency has come from. If they think, I am doing, then you'll never be qualified. So to say I'm unqualified means there's also ego, because it means someday I might be qualified. No. How we can explain Krishna to anyone? Krishna is achintya. He's inconceivable. How even the word Krishna can come on the tongue of one's mouth? Only by the mercy of Krishna and Guru. So Guru can make it happen. We simply be their servant, servant, servant. And if something happens positively, don't think I did it. You did. No. Who did it? Krishna did it. Krishna is doing it. We have no ability. But we should take what's been given to us and do it. So this yajna is devotional service. Devotional service is yajna. Not just throwing grains into the fire. That is also yajna, if the mood is right. But yajna means to work to please Krishna. Right? So how we can make our job 40, 50, 60 hours a week yajna? Can you do it? Do we have to light a fire in the office?
Last day.
Last day. That'll be your last day in the office. So how we can make, is it possible to make our going to the office yajna? How?
Conscious. Yes.
We make our home a temple. So how does that make the office work yajna?
By working hard enough to earn money to maintain the temple.
Working hard enough to earn money to maintain the temple. That means it's yajna. If I'm working hard enough to earn the money to maintain my body, is it yajna? No. How else can I make my work yajna? So making the home a temple. There are some other practical ways.
Rendering service to
And whatever money we are getting from salary to offer the like temples, some percentage, so that the devotees that will grow and to bring back more souls to the temples.
So supporting the temples. What's the value of supporting the temple? The temple is a spiritual hospital. We talk about building hospitals, right? The hospitals we think of are hospitals for the body. What is the temple? It's a hospital for the soul. So by supporting the temples, more souls can enter and become cured from their disease of separation from Krishna. So that is yajna. It'll please Krishna. How else we can do yajna? Through our office work.
Glorify the deities.
Glorifying the deities.
Flowers.
By bringing some flowers for the deities. Books. Printing books. Buying books and distributing books. It takes money to print books. Buying books is yajna. Right? So many different ways. So we can make our office work yajna. How can we make taking our children to school yajna?
so
They will become a devotee.
Teaching them how to practice Krishna consciousness. That makes the process of raising our children also yajna. Because you're raising those children to love Krishna. That is yajna. Vacuuming the house. How is that yajna? It's Krishna's house, not my house. We don't stay in the master bedroom, we stay in the servant bedroom. Cleaning the house, it's yajna. Now, cleaning the house is not yajna until the consciousness, this is Krishna's house, not my house. Right? So, is it possible to make every one of our activities yajna? Is there any activity we cannot make yajna? Watching movies. Yes. That is not yajna. So how we can take the activity of watching movies and make it into yajna? Watch Hare Krishna, watch Abhaicharan, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Watch movies on Krishna. That is yajna. Every sense gratificatory activity can be turned into yajna. And what is the benefit? No more reaction, awakening loving service of Krishna, and obtaining eternal happiness. So next week's verses, Krishna is going to speak about now, this is a very high position to work as a sacrifice for Viṣṇu. It's so easy. Is it easy? No. Because it means we have to give up our sense gratificatory desires. Right? I work, I cannot enjoy the BMW. I cannot enjoy the iPhone X. I cannot enjoy the third laptop. And all the other toys and things that we buy. Right? Because I'm giving that to Krishna. Unless the iPhone X will please Krishna, I won't do it. So it's a very high stage, difficult. So now Krishna is going to explain some preliminary stages, this karma kanda, in verses 10, 11, 12, 13. How one can make progressive steps to doing sacrifices for Viṣṇu. So I'll tell one, I think I told once. I told the story of the pillar, hugging the pillar. No? Okay. So, this giving up sense desires, it's difficult. Right? But it's very foolish. It's very foolish that it's difficult. Because to give up sense desires, it means that we're going to pick up yajna, bhakti, loving service of Krishna. Why it's foolish? Because loving service of Krishna is going to give so much more happiness from sense gratifying activities. Sense gratifying activities we do simply to get happiness, right? But what will give us so much more happiness is bhakti. So we would say it's foolish to hold on to an activity that gives us less happiness when we have an ability to take an activity that will give us more happiness. Can we say that's foolish? It's foolish to hold on to a $100 bill when somebody is offering you a $500. Right? That's foolish. So, once there was this very hungry man, and he was suffering from severe hunger pains. And he was going here and there, and he came to the temple. And in the temple he saw one pillar. And he tightly embraced that pillar, and by the pressure of the pillar on his stomach, his hunger pains were slightly subdued. And he was lamenting, I'm hungry, so much pain, please help me. And people are coming and going and seeing this strange sight. You can imagine somebody hugging this pillar so tightly. And he's holding on, because holding on to that pillar was giving him some mild relief to the hunger pains. But it's not the cure, right? Hugging the pillar. What's the cure? Food. So in this way he's begging and begging for relief from this pain. And finally one lady had come and she had offered some chip rice to the Lord, some puffed rice. And she is taking back and saying out of compassion, says, oh, I'm hungry. Okay, here, I have some chip, take it. But he's holding on to this pillar. And she says, release, give me your hands, I'm giving you some rice. But he says, no, I can't, because if I let go of this pillar, my pain will increase. She's saying, I know, but to eliminate your pain, you take this rice. No, I don't want to increase my pain. This lady is like, what is this foolish person? And so he's holding on. He says, no, just put him in my hands. She says, okay, and she puts the rice in her hand. But now what's the problem?
He can't eat.
How are you going to eat it? Now he's stuck. As soon as he lets go, all the rice is going to fall on the ground. And this is so foolish. This is what Maya does to us. That this person just needs to let go of this pillar and take the food that's right there in front of them, and their pain will be fully resolved. They're getting some mild relief by holding on to the pillar. We're trying to get some mild relief from this place of dukkhala mashasa, this miserable world, by satisfying our senses. All these sense gratificatory activities. What are we trying to do? We're just trying to ease the pain of our existence. Monday through Friday we work, so we can try to enjoy our senses for a couple of days, and then we start all over again. We're just trying to get... But this permanent relief to this quest, this pain of suffering is there. Taking to bhakti. But it takes a little bit of us. I have to give up these sense gratifying activities. These sense activities I have to give up. So that pain of giving up those activities, I don't want to let go of. And take to Krishna consciousness. It's like that foolish person. He did not want to experience the slight pain of letting go of that pillar so that he could get the permanent relief of taking the foods. So we hold on tightly to these material activities. Though they're not really giving us much comfort. Just as that pillar, this person is holding on to, trying to subdue the pain. But the real relief for the pain is right in front of him. Chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare. It's right there in front of us. It's in our possession. But we're not taking to it. So, Krishna knows this. And thus he's going to speak the next few verses. But we should not be so foolish like this person grasping the pillar, trying to subdue the pain. Yeah, maybe some loss will be there for a moment when we let go of all of our material sense desires. But we'll very soon be fully nourished by the process of devotional service. And it is only that will relieve us of our pain. The pain of suffering separate from the Lord. That is the only thing. The pillar will never. Material sense desires, and that's what Krishna said in all up towards the end of 2nd chapter. Get rid of these material desires. So the benefit of yajna is we can slowly purify from these desires. This is the purport of this chapter, is work detached from the fruits to purify these desires, so we can let go of this pillar that we think is giving us some relief. As foolish as that is, as foolish as we are when we hold on to all of these material desires, it's no different. We can laugh at ourselves also. It's foolish. So, any questions or comments? Yeah.
So, when we are seeing two type of people, Prabhu, one is pure devotees, the other ones are who are trying to become a pure devotee. So the pure devotees, since because they have, this is again my assumption, Prabhu, correct me if I am wrong, they have less karma, so they are able to please Krishna faster. But whereas the other people who wanted to get into the pure devotee stage, they have more karma, so then they have to put a lot of effort to please Krishna to get into a devotional service. Is that is true, Prabhu?
So the question is, does a pure devotee have to put in less effort than one who is impure to please Krishna? So I'll ask like this. If a mother and father, they have two children. One is acting very foolishly and not obeying and disobedient. And one is acting very obedient and nice. And one day the disobedient child comes and does something obedient, nice to the mother and father. How much does that please compared to when the obedient child is performing the same service? Krishna doesn't require much. He just wants our love. No matter how fallen we may be, no matter how impure we may be, Krishna will immediately bring us to the purest state if we have that desire. If we want it, it will happen. So don't think that because I am impure, I don't have an ability to please Krishna. We have an ability to please Krishna at the highest levels if we follow. Follow the guidance of those who have understood it fully. So, we don't have to work harder, but we have to desire. The difference is in the intensity of desire. The pure devotee has full desire and humility. Our desire is still wishy-washy. I kind of want it, but I kind of want to hold on to the pillar also. I want to eat the foods and hold on to the pillar. You can't do both. We're not yet ready to let go of the pillar. So that is the difference, is the intensity of desire. Yeah, whatever anarthas and impurities we have, no problem. So one can be purified instantly from all of the impurities if the desire is strong. It is said that one actually only needs to utter the name of Krishna once with full purity to achieve perfection, Krishna prema. Right? So
that the intensity of desire is less because of karmic reaction.
Because of our impurity.
Impurity is because of karma.
Yeah, because of our past actions, we have cured these impurities, right? Just like if I have glasses and I have all this dust and grease and dirt on them, my vision is impure. But if I have a full clean, I can see purely, cleanly, right? So, but remember, bhakti is so potent, so powerful, that it can undo. Look at Jagai Madai. We told that pastime a few weeks ago. They were so fallen, but they immediately became pure devotees by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So we are mini Jagai Madais. At least speaking of myself and all of you. So, but if they're delivered, we can also be delivered. So we don't have to work harder, but we have to intensify our desire. And that is the process of chanting. We have to chant. We were discussing lots yesterday about chanting. That intensely chanting with a mood to please Krishna, with a mood to purify, so that I may please you more, Krishna. Not just mechanically chanting. Concentrated chanting. Good chanting. Quantity and quality. Any other questions? Any more questions, or is it okay?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Okay.
When we say sacrifice, yajñā, it has to be with love and compassion, Prabhu. It need not to be ritualistic sacrifice. But I think that's where we begin the journey with, just we have to offer to Krishna like that. But slowly I think it will become more and more love towards the sacrifice also.
Sometimes our sacrifice begins ritualistic, just like our chanting, right? They're saying chant, chant, chant. And as Prabhupada quoted that cartoon, we're saying can't. But sometimes we're just doing it. Because why? We know it's good for us. I don't feel it yet. The impetus is not yet internal. The impetus is to follow the instruction of Guru and Krishna I'm doing. That is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Ultimately, we'll come to the point of Raguna, the spontaneous. We'll do it because it's pleasurable, enjoyable. But until then, we just do it. Even in initial stages of bhakti, we become regulated. We're regulated by Guru and scriptures. Ultimately, we'll become regulated by our own desires. But we have to purify, otherwise our own desires will take us to all kinds of crazy things. You cannot come to Raganuga until one is purified. So, in the ritualistic sacrifices though, one doesn't have to do them ritualistically. If one takes the time to understand why I'm doing, what is the purpose? And remember, the purpose of all yajna is to please Krishna. So we should think, what yajna will please Krishna most? And he says, Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam. This is the means to please Krishna the most. Chanting his holy names. When we do our japa, it's not just for our purification. It's calling out and glorifying Krishna. We're glorifying Krishna. It's pleasing to him. Right? Any other questions?
Yeah, Nidhi Yadav has asked, Prabhuji, could you please help me understand if Goddess Durga and Goddess Kali are addressed as Maya here? I'm asking this because all my life I have loved and worshipped Goddess Durga.
So Goddess Durga, she is the Shakti, the energy of Krishna. And she plays a very important role. She's a great devotee of Krishna. And she is we call her the jailer of this material world. She is a superintendent, managing the various material affairs. And she carries her Trishul, which is the Atmika, the Bhautika, the Devika, the threefold miseries. And she is prodding us. But what is her goal in prodding us? To awaken our relationship with Krishna. So she takes the form, and doesn't quite take the form, but she empowers this illusory energy to help us forget that we are part and parcel of Krishna. But why she does? Because that was our desire. She is just fulfilling Krishna's plan because she is Shakti Tattva, an expansion of Krishna's energies. So that is Durga Devi. So when we worship Durga Devi, we should worship her in relation to Krishna, not for our material boons and protection and benedictions, which most worship is done for. Again, that is for the body, not for the soul. Right? So, and as a Krishna devotee, we should not think, oh, that's just Durga Devi. No, she's a great devotee. She's a Shakti Tattva. But her value is in connection and service to Krishna. And that's how we worship and respect.
Yeah, probably I have a question. So, let's say somebody is doing yajna for Goddess Durga, and they do not have consciousness about Krishna, but according to our purport that we read, yajna is Viṣṇu. So would that relate to if there is any yajna performed, would it be Krishna?
Yeah. So when you do your yajna to any other personality, Krishna is going to explain this. What do they do with that yajna? You do yajna to Durga Devi, to Lord Indra, whoever it may be. What do they do with that yajna?
They will give you the
Send it to Krishna.
They first, before they give you, they pass it to Krishna. What fruits, let's just take Lord Indra, can give? Can he create any fruits? Where he gets his fruits from? From Krishna. So Krishna gives the fruits to then pass back to us. And that's why he's going to say later in this Bhagavad Gita, when one does yajna to other personalities, they are indirectly worshipping me. So instead of indirectly worshipping, why not directly worship? That is a statement of Krishna. So any yajna we do to any other personality is indirect worship to Krishna. Because Krishna is bhoktaram yajna tapasam, sarva loka maheshwaram. He is the source of all the demigods and planets. And he is the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifice. Meaning all sacrifice ultimately goes to him and then comes back. And that's why in the 10th, 11th, 12th verses, in the next week we'll discuss these other types of yajna. And how they can progressively bring us. Some of us may not be ready yet to worship Krishna directly. So he's going to say, then you can indirectly, through these karma-kanda sacrifices, come to the progressive stage. But it's very dangerous to take that path. Because as we get the benedictions, the boons, we may then, as our sense gratifying desires become fulfilled, we may forget again Krishna. So while it's an option, it's not the recommended path. So we'll talk more about this specific other worships actually next week in more detail. I just give a summary answer now. Anything else?
So, Prabhu, a little confused with that social service which you were saying. So social service, we have to do social service in mode of how do we bring those fallen souls. So how do we actually, for example, orphanage, we give clothes. So what extra that we need to do to do that activity?
So I'll give the example, how to bring social services into Krishna consciousness. So last Thanksgiving, we took the youth group to the homeless shelter. Now, is that social service or bhakti? So what did we do? We cooked bhoga in the temple. We offered it to the Lord. And then took that food and brought it to the homeless shelter, and we distributed food. 3 of the kids, they brought mridanga kartals, and they were performing sankirtan. And then few of the other kids were distributing books. Now, is that a social service or is that bhakti?
Bhakti.
Were the recipients benefited? Was their soul benefited or their body?
Both.
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 Both. So, now if we just went and brought regular foodstuffs and offered foods, we would have benefited their body. But are we trying to benefit their body or soul? So if you're going to go to an orphanage, we've gone to senior centers before. Also, I haven't done an orphanage yet. We were trying to go this year. It didn't work out. But what you can do, you can go, you can read pastimes of Krishna to the children. You can distribute cookies that are offered to the Lord. You can give them some cloth, some clothes. But while you're giving them, give them something else. Just hearing the name of Krishna once is so beneficial. Sing some songs for them. Give them some association. Give them some company. Give them a picture of Krishna, say color, depending on their age. So many ways we can engage them. At the end of the day, the orphanage kids are not in need of just cloth, they're in need of association, relationships. They've been abandoned. They've been abandoned. So we can give them our time. It's a great service. And we should do it. You know? The midday meals program in India is distributing millions of lunches every day. What's the goal? The goal for the government was to get kids to go to school. They weren't going to school because they were hungry. And so they were working. So this kind of started developing these very sophisticated kitchens. But they're distributing prasad. So that their body will be nourished, but more importantly, the soul will be nourished. So all social services, we have to go where to direct our compassion. Remember, directing compassion to the soul doesn't ignore the body. But directing just to the body is like saving the clothes of a drowning person. So any social welfare activity. And ultimately, we should remember, everyone is suffering. Not just those not in wealth, not just those not in health, everyone is suffering.
Just adding to that, my understanding with the explanation. So basically, the underlying idea should be to bring like everyone's senses to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
In any way possible.
Yeah. So we may not be able to tell them, they're not be ready yet to start chanting and take the Bhagavad Gita and all that. So that's fine. We give them prasad. Who's not ready to eat prasad? Anyone? No. So we do that. We have to see where is that person ready to start. And the creative, the expert, devotees, they find ways to bring them. That's what Prabhupada did. How expert he was. The ISKCON bullets. He had a jar of them outside at the exit. Why? So he knew if they filled their belly with them, it would pierce their heart and they would not go and stop and eat somewhere outside on the way home. And so whatever it takes, that is compassion. That is compassion. Sacrificing one's time for the benefit of others. Prabhupada sacrificed his retirement age to struggle and work day and night. He sacrificed his sleep to give us books. Can we not sacrifice a little bit of sleep to chant the holy names? To render some service? He did it at the age of 70. We are trying to do it at a much younger age. But we say we don't have time. Imagine if Prabhupada said I didn't have time. Where we would all be? Where we would all be? That's compassion.
Okay. One point related to that again, what I am thinking is, even if you are doing sacrificing on your own self without connecting with Krishna, so that means it's an ego, I think, whatever you said. So if you connect with Krishna and then try to sacrifice, then that disciplic succession continues. Or whatever we, yeah.
So we haven't gotten to this point, but we'll bring it up now. What is it that we're actually sacrificing?
Everything is provided by Krishna.
What are we actually? It is like me coming into Mataji Prabhuji's house. I sit on her sofa for 1 hour, and then after I say, you know what? I'll donate this sofa to you. I came into this world with nothing. I lay ownership supposedly to all these things. But whose are they? Ishavasyamidam sarvam. They're Krishna's. But I want to be so proud that I am sacrificing to you. What we are actually sacrificing? We are just giving to Krishna what is his already. But still he's giving us the credit for sacrifice. Still he's giving us the benefit of yajna. When we offer grains, who grew those grains? The farmer? Really? How he facilitated the sun, the rain, the soils. Yet that we're giving in the fire, and Krishna's taking as a sacrifice. It's just like child goes into mother's wallet, picks out $5, says, Mother, I'm giving you a gift.
So ultimately what is important is love.
Love!
That's it.
When child takes that $5 from mother, goes to the store, buys some things, puts something together and offers to mother. Does mother say, well, I bought it anyways, what is this? No, mother says, wow, such wonderful, nice thing you gave. Even though she herself gave all the facilities. Even the training of how to do, where that came from. Mother. But still appreciates. Krishna's the same way. Whatever we are rearranging his resources only, he's going to tell us, 7th chapter, I am the ability in man. Whatever ability we have, it has come from Krishna. So we should not be so proud, oh, I'm really sacrificing everything. This body came from Krishna. Where the earth, air, fire, water, ether came from. Yeah, we say mother, father. Where mother and father got it from? Krishna. So this body we should also sacrifice for Krishna. Meaning use it in the service of Krishna. As Ambarish Maharaj showed us. We'll come back to this topic more when Krishna smashes our ego throughout this chapter. Of what we are sacrificing is actually not even ours to begin with. But still Krishna, because it comes with love. Love is the key ingredient in our yajna. Okay? So we'll do some Sankirtana yajna.